More coffee? Coffee?
Fill it up, son. Make a good cup of coffee.
I learned it in the bush. I guess if you can make it over a smoky old fire, you can make it just about anywhere. Something wrong?
This letter's about you. It's from the child welfare people. It seems they're not sure about letting you stay here with me now that my wife's dead.
Why shouldn't they let me stay here? Sure, things are different since Mrs. Grave died. It's pretty sad for you. Pretty sad for me, too. We get along all right.
Oh, we get along fine. I don't like to think about getting along without you. But I'm just your foster father. We gotta face it. They feel like it, they can take you away.
Are they going to?
Not if I can help it. They're sending some guy up to look us over. I guess he'll decide one way or the other.
When?
Could be today.
Well, what are we going to do, Joe?
About Chub? Nothing.
But they can't come up here and take him away, just like that.
How are you going to stop them?
Well, we thought you might be able to think up something.
Let me tell you something.
Maybe Chub won't be happy in the city. You think he's the only one? How many people live where they want to live? In the old days, my own people were pushed around plenty. Do you think they were happy about it?
But this is the way of life, and you can't change it.
George.
Joe, I just wanted to ask... What's this, a council of war?
Yeah, something like that.
Cheerful band of warriors? What's eating you?
Well, this guy that's coming to take Chub away.
Is he?
Well, isn't he?
I understand he's coming up to look at Ted Graves. The home background, kind of life Chub's leading. After he's seen all that, do you think he's going to take Chub away from it? Do you think that makes sense?
Well, no.
Neither do I. So beat it and forget about it. You know, he might even turn out to be a human being. Even a reasonable human being.
Sure. Thanks a lot.
You, ever met one?
A reasonable human being? No harm in hoping, is there?
You keep your place very well, Mr. Graves.
Well, I do my best. Chub's a big help to me.
I'm sure he is. That's really a great pity.
What is?
That the situation here has changed.
Well, I don't see how that affects Chub, except that he was pretty fond of Mrs. Graves. Well, he's settled here, made his home, made his friends.
Yes, but when we placed Chub with you, this was a complete home. We felt that a complete home was what Chub's case required. We had our reasons. We always have our reasons.
I guess that must make you feel pretty good.
Chub!
I quite understand how you feel, Chub, but the decision's not entirely mine, you know. I can only recommend.
Well, then recommend that he stays here. You've seen the place, you've seen something of the life he leads.
Well, I can understand that Chub would be very useful to you around the farm, Mr. Graves. But I don't expect that you've got much time to keep an eye on him, have you?
Well, what makes you think Chub needs an eye kept on him?
Well, Chub was in several homes before he came here. He was always a little difficult.
In the city. Up here, he's got plenty of room to let off steam.
Yes, but letting off steam isn't always the best way to learn the discipline of living.
Well, it's one way, and a darn good one.
How many children do you have, apart from Chub?
None. How many of you?
Over 1,000. So I think I know what I'm talking about.
Look, I've got a sister. She's a widow. She's got quite a bit of money of her own. If I could get her to come up here and keep house for us.
Might make a difference. Then again, it might not. We don't know her, do we? And anyhow, she's not here now, is she?
Well, she's in Texas. She could be here inside of a week.
Yes, but if she's got quite a bit of money of her own, she might not be prepared to reorganize her life on a moment's notice.
Well, I think I could talk her into it.
Yes, but we're not sure, are we? And we must base our judgment on the present facts. Later, perhaps. In the meantime, we leave at noon tomorrow, Chub. That should give you time to say goodbye. You may bring with you any personal belongings and any little gifts that Mr. Graves might have given you.
My dog?
No dogs, I'm afraid.
You mean I can't take Spike?
Dogs might not be acceptable in your next home. I'm sorry. I really am very sorry, Mr. Graves. I'm sure you understand.
You're pretty darn sure of a whole heap of things, aren't you?
Come on, Spike. Let's beat it. Joe? You asleep?
Sure. What do you want?
I want to talk to you for a couple of minutes.
Time all good little boys were in bed. You like a cup of tea? What do you want to know?
Nothing. I just happened to be passing. Say, Joe, you know that old shack just above the Pike Rapids, below the Spruce River?
Oh, you mean the one we used about 25 times in the last year?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I got a kind of dim recollection of it.
What's it like? Last time you saw it. Is it in good shape?
Pretty good.
I guess it wouldn't be much good for living in around this time of the year, would it?
A little cold at night, but if a guy had a bedroll and a spare blanket...
Would it be okay for about a week?
Sure. Why, you want to know?
I didn't want to know. Just curious.
I guess we fixed that. Hey, you know something funny?
What?
I was just planning to go up to that shack for a little time. Oh, a week maybe. Do some duck hunting.
You were?
You'd like to come?
No.
Why not?
I was planning to go somewhere else.
Where?
I don't know yet.
Why you don't want to come with me?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'll teach you how to make these, huh? We go tomorrow morning. You pick me up here around 6.
Look, Joe, I don't want to get you into any trouble.
I like trouble. Didn't you know that?
Okay.
You like to make the tea?
Yeah, sure.
Hi.
You wouldn't believe we've still got a fire danger index of 13 after all that rain, would you?
Have we?
Sure have. Dry summer, of course.
Very dry. You might recall directing me to the Graves place yesterday.
That's right. You found it yet, or are you still looking for it?
Well, I found it, but I've lost a little boy.
That's very careless of you.
Chub Stanley.
Oh, him. Don't worry about Chub.
Well, I'm afraid I must. You see, he was to meet me at the Graves place today at noon.
You're taking him away?
I don't think that's really any of your concern, is it?
All right, what is?
The boy's lost.
Oh, he'll turn up. You don't know Chub.
You take a leisurely view of your duties, Mr. Keeley?
When possible. Why don't you give this some more thought? Chub's scared. He doesn't want to go back to the city. He's beat it up into the bush with Joe Two Rivers. Give him time to think it out. Take time off to think it out yourself.
Into the bush? And you knew this?
Joe left a message.
Where is he?
I don't know for sure. Somewhere up the Pike River.
A child. At this time of year.
He's all right. He could stay up there all winter with Joe and enjoy it.
This just confirms my opinion. The general air of irresponsibility around here is hardly the proper background for a boy with Chub's history. Now, I must insist that you get him out.
You go by your book, Mr. Smith. Let me go by mine. In this neck of the woods, I decide who's lost and who isn't. I decide whether to go looking for him or not. And I take the kicks if I'm wrong.
But I tell you, this boy is legally in my care. He ran away without my permission.
He didn't need your permission to go into the bush. But let me tell you this, in case you happen to have any fancy ideas about going in after him. You need mine. And don't forget it. You must excuse me. You're obscuring my leisurely view.
Okay, so he's gone into the bush with Joe Two Rivers. What do you want me to do about it?
Well, I want you to take me into the bush and help me find him.
No, I don't blame him. I'd do the same thing myself.
But I'm responsible for that boy. I've got to get him, and I need your help.
You need a guide. I'm not a guide. I'm a farmer. I've got livestock to feed and a job to do. You just let me get on with it and figure out some way of getting on with your own.
Where can I get a guide?
You won't. And not without a permit from the ranger office. And you might find getting that a little difficult.
Have you no affection for that boy?
Plenty.
Well, aren't you afraid for him?
With Joe Two Rivers? No. Let me tell you something. Chub's doing all right up here with the other kids. And with people like Joe, he's learning a lot of things that they don't teach in school. Or in the city.
It's easy when you know how.
Why you want to make them too big for you?
They're not for me. For Mr. Graves.
Parting gift? You got to face it. Maybe you got to go back to the city in the end. It won't be too bad.
It'll be lousy.
Only for a few years. And then you're a man. And you make up your own mind what you want to do. Stay in the city, or come back to Indian River.
Could be too late. I could have forgotten about all this.
I don't think so. Bush, city, not much difference. You get problems everywhere. If you know how to fix them, you're okay.
If you know.
Well, you know all right. I've seen you do it many times. You sit and think for a little. Figure out the right thing to do. And do it as well as you can. It's easy. But you got to know something. Something you've learned here at Indian River.
What?
How to sit and think.
You could be right, Joe.
You finish these tomorrow morning, huh?
Yeah, okay.
While you do that, I'll go out to Pike Lake and get a couple of ducks. We have a feast tomorrow night. And the next day, we go back to Indian River and see what happens. Okay?
Okay.
See? It's easy.
George? I just came from the store. This guy Smith. Charlie Potter says he bought a bedroll and camping gear yesterday, late in the afternoon.
A bedroll?
You know what I think? I think he's gone into the bush after Chub.
I'll skin him if he has. I told him he needed a permit. I told him the fire index was pretty high for this time of year.
XNY 556, C for Charlie. Calling XNY 556. Come in, please.
XNY 556. Hi, Matt.
George, we got a smoke on Pike River, south of Spruce River. Bearing 178.
Bearing 178. Could it be a campfire, Matt?
No, it's a real smoke, and it could go. It's pretty dicey up here, even after the rain.
All right, I'll get a cross bearing from McKinley Tower. Hey, Matt, I've got Chub and Joe 2 Rivers up that way. Contact and warn them if you can.
Sure, I'll do that.
And there could be a guy called Smith wandering around. I think he could have started it. If they find him, just tell them to change his diapers and bring him out.
This fire could spread pretty fast, son, so watch it. You got Joe with you?
He's up shooting duck on Pike Lake.
Better head up that way and pick him up.
Look, if this guy Smith's in there, we've got to get him out.
We don't know for sure, and the fire crews will be there in less than an hour. They'll find him.
If he isn't burnt to a crisp. Okay, Matt. Over and out. So what do we do now? Just can't leave him there to burn. He wasn't a bad sort of guy. I guess they'd just send up somebody else. Look, Spike, you go find Joe. I'll take a look for this guy, okay? Come on, let's go.
was my campfire. I tried to put it out, but it got out of hand.
It sure did. Come on, let's get out of here.
You make plenty trouble, eh? You come into a peaceful place, you make trouble because of some rules you have.
Not my rules. I didn't make them.
But you say this little boy broke your rules when he ran away into the bush. Well, let me tell you this. We live by different rules up here. Simple rules. And if this little boy hadn't broken your rules and kept ours, you would be dead. What happened to your shoes?
They were damp. I left them beside the fire to dry overnight.
That's not good for shoes, didn't you know that?
Still, I guess it worked. They must be pretty dry by now.
That fire's coming this way. We gotta get a canoe downriver.
I'm afraid I owe you an apology. I never quite
Time you
realized
stopped
just
letting off steam and learnt the discipline of living, our kind of living. You may be charged with causing malicious damage.
I'm prepared for that. I quite understand.
Well, that's something. Fortunately, we controlled it without too much difficulty. But I distinctly remember telling you not to go into that bush without a permit.
Yes.
And the next thing I hear is that you've been buying bedrolls and camping gear at the store. You didn't get those at the store.
No, they were made by Chub in the bush and given to me when I foolishly lost my shoes.
You're lucky. You could have lost a lot more than that.
I'm aware of that. I must say they're remarkably comfortable. So much so that I think we'll postpone a decision on our problem for a week or so until we know whether your sister will take up your suggestion.
She'll come if I have to bring her here on the end of a rope.
Now that I'm beginning to know you all, I quite believe you would.